The new tech tree for World of Tanks console is coming onto the game this Tuesday, so be aware that the new tanks are coming. They are the Czechoslovakian heavy tanks, and we'll be able to cover all of the news and update news regarding both the Czechoslovakian heavy tanks and all of the rest of the content coming with this big update. So first things first, let's actually look at the Czech Heavies for those of you that don't know what they are. Well, essentially they lead off of the tier 6 Skoda T55, and for those of you wanting to actually get to grips with these heavy tanks as soon as they drop within the game on Tuesday, then you want to make sure that you have elited the tier 6 Skoda T25, and then you'll be able to get access to the VZ44-1 at tier 7, and that will be unlocked straight away. So as long as you unlock the tier 6 to the max capability so that you have unlocked the tier 7, then you'll be able to get the tier 7 new tank line straight away. Otherwise you'll have to then grind through all of the XP in addition to the tier 7 medium to get then the VZ44-1. So make sure that you do it before Tuesday, and then you get this tank for free essentially without having to grind out any XP. Now, the tank in question that we're talking about, the VZ44-1, is the tier 7, and this would require you to unlock for 108,450 XP and will cost you 1.5 million silver. Now, if we actually take a look at this tank in the PC version of the game, now then the VZ44, which leads on from the Skoda T25, these are the statistics that World of Tanks PC have. We don't currently, right now, have the statistics for console, but I'm sure that they'll come out when they actually release it. Would have been nice to see them before, but there we go, that's Wargaming. And 320 alpha damage is the key statistic of the tier 7. You don't, to the best of my knowledge, actually get 2 shots in the clip. So this is not a double pumper. It is just like a normal tank that has decent kind of statistics, although to be honest with you, this one is probably going to be the most painful of the lot. And you can see here on the live model that the tank basically doesn't get any armor for a heavy tank, and you can see pretty much all of the frontal hull armor is just awful. You'll basically be like a tiger, and so I guess that's what you can compare it to. You do of course have slightly better alpha than the tiger does, but you do lack the aim time, the dispersion, which means that you will be a lot less accurate than the tiger. You also get less health, and pretty much the whole tank is pretty much worse than the tiger, and so yeah, that's kind of its main competitor. And with 30 kilometers an hour top speed, you're probably not getting anywhere that quick. Now then, moving on from the tier 7, you then lead to the TNH 105-100, and this is something slightly different. Wargaming have given us the unlock requirement of 141,000 XP, and of course that will be in just the base tank value, not the upgrades for the tier 7, so add on about 40,000 onto that, and that's how much it's going to cost you XP wise. Cost you 2.5 million silver. This is what it will look like in game. In reality, this is what the tank actually looks like on PC. Once again, it's a pretty interesting looking tank. I think that they've got something going for them in terms of looks, but we also have the key statistics being that this one does in fact have a pretty nice gun, and you're able to deal 320 alpha, you got 224 pen. This is a tank that I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not it will actually work nicely within the game. But I think we're kind of going to have to see how they go and whether or not that they actually do what you'd expect them to do. You do have the opportunity to have both a single shot and also the ability to have a multi-shot. And you can see here, you sacrifice quite a lot if you go for the double pumper 105. You do of course sacrifice nearly a quarter of your DPM to be able to have the double, and it also means that you're only dealing 640. So to be honest with you, as a tier 6, I'm not entirely sure that I would want to use the double, but I guess it's down to you at the end of the day whether or not you want the auto-loading version, which has 2 shots in a clip just like the Skoda T56, or whether you'd have this one. Yeah, I guess it's kind of down to you. And of course, the premium version, the Skoda T56, which we've done a video on, and you'll be able to have a look at the end of this video as to the premium version of these tanks at tier 8, the Skoda T56. Then yeah, I think that the premium's actually better than the tech tree. Then we lead on to the tier 9, the TVZ51, and this will require you a lot more XP, it's 240,000, also cost you 3.5 million, and yeah, this one is a little bit stronger, a little bit better, and probably more like the playstyle that you're wanting to use as you go through. Now the cool thing about the TVZ51 is that it does get the double pump once again. This one has 440 alpha per shot and means that you can pump out 880 damage in a go, and that means that it would be basically the same as if you were playing the Skoda T56. It's a similar sort of ability in terms of how much damage you can dish out. This one has slightly better DPM, and you've also got a very nice kind of accuracy as well, 0.38 dispersion. Obviously you get the choice between the single shot or the double pump, so yeah, down to you which one you decide to choose, but ultimately for me personally I'd rather use the multi-shot because it just lends itself more to being able to dish out a lot of damage in a short period of time, and then you can kind of leave or do whatever you want in that period that you're reloading. Probably less flexible, and of course you sacrifice the DPM, but to be honest with you, with a heavy tank I'd rather have the pure alpha that is going to be more effective. Then we have the tier 10, the VZ55, and this one is going to cost you 419,900 XP to be able to unlock, and it will cost you 6.1 million silver as with all of the tier 10s in the game. Jumping over to the statistics of the vehicle, this one has slightly higher alpha, so you're going to have 490 damage per clip, you're going to have 490 damage per shot and 2 in the clip, so you can have 980 clip damage, and you have a 2-second intra-clip reload, which means that after firing your first shot you only have to wait 2 seconds before you can fire the next one, which is the key thing about the tier 10 and why this thing on PC is so good in the game, because not only do you have the armor on this tank, you can see that actually you have really effective turret armor bar the cupola here, and of course if anyone's aiming down into your top of your turret. And also your upper plate isn't absolutely garbage, but you probably wouldn't want to rely on it. Obviously the lower plate is the area where you want to go. Side armor you can pretty much pen with anything, and of course the rear you can pen with pretty much anything as well. So key things about the tanks are the alpha damage and being able to be super aggressive, pump out your damage, retreat, hide for about like 30 seconds or 20-second reload, and then you can kind of output that damage again. Now these tanks come with an operation combined on World of Tanks console, and that is because they basically have been able to give you an extra 25% silver for both if you're playing in the Czech Heavies as well, and also if you're playing against the Czech Heavies, because if you destroy one or more Czech Heavy in a game, you'll get an extra 25% bonus, and if you play a Czech Heavy or a Czech tank, you'll be able to get an extra 25% silver bonus when playing them, which means that essentially if you play a Czech Heavy and destroy a Czech Heavy, you're going to be able to get an extra 50% silver in game, which is really nice and going to be able to kind of boost you towards gaining up your silver reserves, and therefore be able to purchase every single time when you unlock the next heavy tank to be able to buy it. Of course, then you also have a operation that comes with it where you can get some premium time, vehicle XP boosters, commander XP and 1 million silver, and effectively you have to destroy 125 vehicles across any number of battles whilst playing in the Czechoslovakian tanks, which is really nice, and you have to play in the actual heavy tank as well, may I like to add. So make sure that you're actually jumping on, testing out these tanks, and of course I want to see what you guys actually think about these tanks. We did play the Skoda T56 for a game on the stream recently, so you can check that video, or stream length out, it's like 2 hours. We played a lot in the Tortoise, but that isn't it for this video. We also have some information on what else is to come this week. So with all of the new content coming into the game, let's take a reflection on last week as well. So for those of you that maybe didn't follow up with the video last week on the update news, this is what happened. Of course, we got the Skoda T56, the tier 8 premium. I really like it. I think it's really strong in the game. Current win rate of the tank is 54.6%, which is pretty good. You're also seeing it has being number 1 in damage compared to tier 9 heavies, and number 14 in damage against tier 10 heavies, which means that, yeah, this tank pumps out a ton of damage comparatively, and it actually is the highest damage when you compare it to tier 9s. So that is the key thing, is that people complaining that this tank is not particularly great at tier 8 because you come up against tier 9 and 10s. this tank right now is doing more damage than tier 9s in the game. So yeah, when you look at the tier 8 heavies, then yeah, that gives you an indication. But of course, this is at the beginning. Obviously, those statistics will slightly drop as players buy it and more people play it. Of course, that when it first gets released, a lot of the new, well, not new players, but a lot of the hardcore players are going to purchase it first, which tend to have better win rates because they've played a lot more and they're hardcore players. So yeah, don't take too much into this win rate here. But yeah, it's a really strong heavy in my opinion. Then, of course, we had the string theory, and that is something I took advantage of on the stream once again. So if you want to have a look at that, I really implore you to do. We can get like 20,000 XP per game if you string together 5 wins. Which means that basically in 65 games, I managed to go from having the Tortoise stock all the way to fully researching the FV215B183, which is the second tier 10 that leads off of that tank, which effectively, I think you need about 400,000 XP to be able to unlock from stock all the way up to there. And we did it in 60 games, which is pretty mad, to be honest with you. So yeah, take a look at the stream, check out the XP earn rate that you can get with that. And of course, take advantage of string theory up until May 2nd if you're watching before then. And then we also got the Heavy Tank Mastery Challenge that began, so make sure that you're doing all of that. We've also got the contract for the Sharpshooter, the tier 9 mercenary tank, and Plaguebringer coming on May 10th. We've also had the Tanks Reforged event for the Sturm Tiger line, which has basically increased them slightly more, so they're a bit more competitive in the game, so that's always something good. Also seeing that with the Freedom, the AMX Chaffee and the Fangula all getting buffs as well. And also next reforged hint is Jerry Goldsmith 1970, and the hint is a reference to the composer who made the score for the Patton movie. So looks like we're seeing the M48 Patton medium line getting buffed in the next Tanks Reforged, which would be quite interesting to see. I'm pretty much towards the tier 9 at this point, so I'll be grinding through that, as I'm sure many of you guys will be if you find out that the M48 is getting buffed. Now then, we're on to the content for next week as well. So we talked about the Czech Heavies, we went through all of them, what the key statistics of them are, the kind of hold down prowess of the Czech Heavies being pretty good, and then it is also combined with that operation that we talked about. And then we also have the free tank for next month, or the May challenge as Wargaming have coined it. And that is the T23E3, the tier 7 kind of fast firing medium American tank, which should be pretty interesting to see. I don't really have it myself, I haven't played it too much, but I know actually by a lot of players that I've heard about that this tank is actually pretty strong, especially, and very, very underrated at that as well. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on this, testing it out and seeing what you guys also have to say. Of course, we'll review this tank along with some of the Czech Heavies as I'm kind of grinding through as well. So looking forward to seeing how that goes. And then, of course, we have the premium bonus. Now, this is an operation that I really implore you guys to jump in and use to the full effect, because you get an extra 50% XP and 50% silver on every battle you play in the Centurion Action X line, the TVP T5051 and the UDES 1516. If you haven't got any of those, the key ones I would focus on first as enjoyment from myself. Of course, you might have a different enjoyment level, but the TVP was my favourite. Then we had probably the UDES 1516 because it's novel, kind of interesting to play a different kind of playstyle, and the Action X. All of them though are fantastic tier 10 tanks that I've really enjoyed playing throughout the years, and I really recommend you to grind through all of them if possible. But yeah, that's kind of the order that I would give you. And of course that applies to tiers 5 and upwards, so make sure that you get your hands on all of those tier 5s upwards to be able to take advantage of it. And then we get ×3 XP on first win in every vehicle for Mother's Day weekend event that will be coming very, very soon. And then in addition to this, we've got loads of miscellaneous changes that Wargaming have made. I'm not going to go through the miscellaneous because they're basically just fixes here. So yeah, nothing too major. But for next week, we're getting basically the auto-loading version of the gun is now called that in the game for the Skoda T56. So make sure that if you're interested in kind of any of those, you can pause the video right now, read through the miscellaneous and the fixes for the game, and then we'll move on. Now then, if you've kind of moved on from that point, we are now looking at the milestones, and the battle feats. So essentially, Yamato 1845 earns a staying alive mention for achieving a 95.42% lifetime average over 20 battles, which means that the amount of time spent alive as a proportion of the length of battle was 95.42, which was just unbelievable, to be honest. And then we also had the best Lioness Skoda T45 game being with 11 kills, which is just insane once again. Loads of people getting over 100,000 battles. We've also had some information on the Marks of Excellence survey, which was released to you guys. There was tons and tons of votes. I think it was like 10-1 in favour of returning the Marks of Excellence to the map. However, Wargaming have come up with a weird statistic, right? That one big thing to come was that it was not communicated in game, so I'm sure that what Wargaming mean by that is that they haven't actually asked everyone in game, so not everyone was kind of getting that. I don't know whether that's because or whether they're kind of coming at it from an angle like they didn't actually tell people that the Marks of Excellence have changed and that they were and this is how Marks of Excellence work. I don't know if that's what Wargaming are coming at from this. Of course, let me know in the comment section down below what you kind of make of that as well. But what they've also said is, of the people that know what they are / work for them, roughly 60% think they are about right and 40% think they are too hard. Now, I don't quite know what Wargaming are coming at, because they've literally taken the polls themselves and it literally came back with like 1,300 people saying that they like the old version, which was the kind of map weighting version of the Marks of Excellence. And now they're saying that actually 60% of people think that currently as they are, they're fine, but that doesn't stack up to the polls that they've taken across all of the platforms, which are heavily in favour of the previous version. So I don't know whether they've just pulled this completely out their backside, but it seems like maybe they have. I don't know whether this is just like a statistic that they've basically made up to say like, well, not all of those people play the game that often, so let's take account like maybe 40% of the people. But yeah, it seems like a very, very skewed percentage that they've just come up with. I don't know if this is... I'd like to see where they've got this statistic from, because out of the stats that we can see, there's nothing that indicates this at all. So yeah, very interested to see where that came from. And then this data is still being discussed. Sometime around June, we'll be looking at the map weightings again, and then camo mock-ups as well. So you can see the new camos that Wargaming are kind of hoping to introduce into the game. This looks really cool. I'm actually thinking that the Swedish camo that you can see on screen looks really, really good. We've also got an alternative here, which are always looking like superb, to be honest with you. I'm kind of interested to see where Wargaming go with it. We've then got the American camo. There's loads of different ones that are coming into the game. Of course, you can see the Czech Heavies as well. But also we've got the Soviet kind of camo, which looks cool. And also the alternative kind of like urban skin. If you've ever played Modern Warfare 2, then you'll know this camo. It's like Red Tiger, I believe it was. But yeah, that looks cool as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of these customization options into the game. But we've also got a few questions that Wargaming have answered, and the key ones being, can we get the total team health bar at the top of each map like in PC, not just spectator mode? And this can be looked into, we just have to be careful due to TV resolutions and restrictions. So yeah, be interested to see what that is. We've also got the chance for ribbons and medals in Cold War. No plans for ribbons, but ideas are looking into, so lots of screen isn't taken up. Medals are being actively looked into and discussed. Daily play op return. Team aren't sure why this went away, but the team are also worried about, I don't even know what this word is, to be honest with you, but yeah, let me know in the comment section down below. Is it possible for the Brick to be a trade-up tank? Basically, they said, why not? Of course, it could be potentially, can the destroying equipment option for 10 gold to receive full silver when selling equipment be returned? No plans for this right now, but will be looked into for a full answer, because Wargaming love the ability to drain your gold or your silver reserves, and basically means that, yeah, they can make more silver by actually selling you the silver in the first place, rather than allowing you to reduce the amount of silver that you're actually spending by basically removing your equipment for free using the gold. So yeah, a bit dodgy. I hate the fact that this has been removed from the game with update 6.0, where they stopped you allowing to respec your crew as well for 10 gold as well. So it's all just like a way of, I think, just reducing the opportunity for you to basically not pay as much money into the game. Don't quite know if that's the case, but seems that way. And also we've got Twitter user, can we make 6 cents be a mechanic that all commanders have for free? This would help new players and incentivize having a commander. This is a conversation that has been had before by the team and keeps happening too. The targeted system is seen as a highly powerful, while 6 cents isn't necessarily useful for new players. Targeted was changed from detected, which was 6 cents and targeted combined. But it was causing issues for new players as they didn't understand why it was going off all of the time. So yeah, to be honest, I'm in agreement with Peppermint Shaw here. I would 100% introduce 6 cents as a standalone mechanic that is just in the game without having to actually spec up your commander. Because, you know, it's so bad when people don't have 6 cents in the game, especially when they're playing mediums or light tanks and stuff like that. It just is a severe negative, and it really stops you from being able to learn when and when not to push and that sort of stuff, and also thinking about the game a little bit more. And then also any plans to add Binos equipment back for tank destroyers, we can look into having these returned. So potentially binoculars are coming back to the game where the vehicle has to be stationary to work. Don't quite know how that will work with the coated optics that we currently have, or advanced optics I should say. But yeah, hopefully they don't just destroy view range and that tank destroyers can now just sit in a bush. Because I know when the equipment changed, the actual advanced optics mechanic got better, way better than previously, which means that now if you add in the binos with 25% extra view range, it's going to make tank destroyers completely like disgusting to try and spot. So don't ruin this wargaming. Just make sure that the actual addition of view range, if binoculars are a thing, isn't just broken. And then are there any plans to add an equipment swap feature so we can move equipment between tanks and not have them always equipped? There was an idea to have an equipment depot, but this will take time and resources, so we cannot say how long this will take. So basically a money issue from Wargaming side and development. Can we have the option to use both the square and compass map? This is a maybe due to room on the HUD. So don't quite see the point in even having the square and the compass. You can swap between them really easily, and I don't see the point in the compass map at all, to be honest with you, because 9 times out of 10, as soon as you learn the map, like, there's no point in having the compass in the first place. So that's just my personal opinion. Obviously you guys can differ. And then we have commander warnings. Pain God has submitted an idea for this. Stay tuned for updates. So I think that this is where, you know, you don't actually have a commander in your tank, and basically it allows you to just go into a game without having a commander. Hopefully that will come back saying like, you need to submit a commander, or like you need halt because you don't have a commander in your tank, or something that just highlights that you haven't actually got a commander, because that would really help with going into a game and being like, oh, balls, I've not actually got a commander. Now then, we've also got Cold War tech tree and module pricing. No update for now, it's still being looked into, and filter for tanks without marks of excellence can be possible. We can see to look what we can add into the filter for this, although that, to be honest with you, is a little bit of a waste of time. I'd rather see other things in the game, because it's not that hard to kind of remember what you actually had in the game. But there we go, the Czech Heavies coming back into the game, or into the game I should say, not even back. But we've also then got all of the update information. We've got all of those questions answered. Hopefully you guys leave your comments in the comment section down below as to what you think about this update. And of course, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out the stream. That was really, really good fun. We tested out the taught us how much XP we could earn, and just, it was not a normal stream, to be honest with you. But there we go. And also, if you want to check out the Skoda, that is on the right hand side, the new Czech Premium Heavy in the game. So check those out, and I hope I'll join you in the next one. Goodbye.